Well, it's a pleasure to be here and be here in Oakland with friends here. And this is a very critical issue that you all and we all are dealing with as a country. And so I want to thank Cynthia and the organizers of this forum having me here. Now, I believe everyone is looking around the country at Occupy Oakland to see if Oakland can provide a template or a model or an approach to organizing and negotiating through the excessive and brutal actions of the police and seek a way to preserve the dignity of the community. I've been involved with Oakland politics and the politics of the police department since the 60s. I joined the Black Panther Party in the summer of 1968 here. I joined the Black Panther Party because I believe in self-determination of African Americans and of all people to determine their destinies in terms of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what's in the Declaration of Independence, and that's what the Black Panther Party used as a framework for what all people should have. I believe Occupy Oakland is within that framework, and so the reaction of the police is the same kind of reaction that was against the Black Panther Party back in the 60s, of course, with the shooting of Huey Newton, also with the shooting of Bobby Hutton, also with all the other tragedies that happened in Oakland. The Oakland Police Department has been culpable and has been corrupt in that manner. And it hasn't been not only the police department, but also has been the district attorney's office that has also been in collusion and in cahoots with the police department. I personally have seen the DA's office and the Oakland Police Department collude to frame an African-American man. I sat on a jury in which John Burris was the defense attorney, and we saw how the Oakland police was trying to frame an African-American man for a murder that he did not commit. And the jury saw it, the judge saw it, John Burris saw it, and it was just a typical way in which so-called justice, criminal justice, has been meted out here in this community. As a professor, I have always looked for the chance to look at sources and see what people have said historically about these kind of issues. And one person, Ms. Jerome Skolnick, who has been a professor emeritus at UC Berkeley, as well as back at NYU, he's been the foremost expert on looking at police and police actions. And he wrote a very important book back in the 60s called The Politics of Protest, and it was a task force report submitted to the National Commission on the Causes of Prevention of Violence. And there was this one quote, if I can just read it, that I think really shows the connection from the 60s to today. It says, as discussed in our chapter, on anti-war protests, the escalation of the war led to growing frustrations and greater militancy on the part of protesters. Yet the police handling of protesters was often unrestrained and only increased the potential for violence in the immediate situation and for the future. Predictably, the escalation continued. Protesters grew bitterly angry, and as anger against the police became a major element in protest meetings and marches, the police grew to hate and fear the protesters even more.
Right.
Does that sound like Occupy Oakland, what's happening in Oakland? Yeah. So the parallel from what Dr. Skolnick was talking about back in the 60s is very clear that parallel is there today. And like one of the jobs that I had when I was here in Berkeley, I worked for the city of Berkeley for about 14 and a half years, and I had an opportunity to work in the city manager's office, and I was involved and in charge of investigating the complaints of excessive force by officers in Berkeley, and I was involved with going and questioning and investigating the complaints that the citizens made, and looking at that and adjudicating that and giving a recommendation to the city manager. Now, here was a former Black Panther going and talking to the police department saying, hey, what did you guys do here? Did you do this thing right? And then giving a recommendation to the city manager saying, well, this is the kind of punishment that you get or not get. Now, that was a process that I was involved in back in 1988, 89 in Berkeley. I haven't followed what has happened in Berkeley in terms of the CRB. I know Oakland has a CRB, but it has to have teeth in it, it has to have power in it if it's to mean anything. But the power really comes from the people. The power comes from you all. The power comes from the community. The police department is a department of the city. The city council and supposedly the mayor is supposed to be in control of the police department. They should be the ones who say, no, you do this or you don't. They should not have come into the encampment the way they did, all the different times they did, if there was a humane way of looking at these things. And also, it's ultimately the citizens. You all have the power to change these police procedures and practices to make the Community Relations Board as strong as it should be. The police do not want civilian review boards because they've always been the way. Dr. Sconin talked about how police office associations have always politicized the whole nature of policing to favor their situation. In Oakland, we've always had a history of right-wing police officers. The police live outside the city. There needs to be community control of the police, just as the Black Panther Party talked about, and also talking about the police should come from the community, so they can have the same kind of notions to what it means to live in the community and to try and